The shuttle doors opened and Yuna stepped onto Station Meridian for the first time. She was 22 years old, small in size, and very far from home. Behind her, 11 other humans walked out into the massive docking bay. They were the first humans ever allowed into the Galactic Unity Academy. Yuna looked around at the alien station. Everything was built for creatures much larger than humans. The ceilings rose so high she could barely see them. The doorways were wide enough for 3 humans to walk through side by side. The air smelled strange, like metal and flowers mixed together. A tall alien with blue skin and 4 arms greeted them. He introduced himself as Instructor Ven. He would show them to their living quarters. "You are the human cohort," Ven said. His voice was flat. He did not seem happy or sad to see them. "Follow me. Do not wander. Do not touch anything. Do not speak to other students until you understand the rules." The 12 humans followed him through long corridors. Other aliens stopped to stare at them. Some were small with many legs. Some were tall with hard shells covering their bodies. Some looked like nothing Yuna had ever imagined. All of them watched the humans with curious eyes. "They look so soft," one alien whispered to another. "How did they survive on their planet?" "I heard they evolved from prey animals," another said. "They probably hid in caves while real predators ruled their world." Yuna heard these words but kept her face calm. She had expected this. Earth had only joined the Interstellar Coalition 2 years ago. Most aliens knew nothing about humans, except that they were small, had no natural weapons, and came from a single ordinary planet. Instructor Ven brought them to the lowest level of the dormitory building. Their rooms were small and plain. The walls were gray. The beds were hard. It was clear that humans were not considered important guests. "Classes begin tomorrow," Ven told them. "The Academy accepts students from 47 worlds. You will study with all of them. Some will not like you. This is normal. Learn to survive." He left without saying goodbye. Yuna's roommate was a woman named Hana. She was also Korean, from Seoul. They unpacked their few belongings in silence. "There was not much to say. I heard about the Torvan," Hana finally said. "They run this place." Yuna nodded. She had read about them too. The Torvan were the dominant species at the Academy. They stood 8 feet tall. Their bodies were covered in bone plates that worked like natural armor. Their culture valued strength above everything else. They believed the strong should rule and the weak should obey. "We should avoid them," Hana continued. "At least until we understand how things work here." "That seems wise," Yuna agreed. But avoiding the Torvan was not easy. They were everywhere. They walked through the corridors like they owned them, which in many ways they did. Other aliens moved out of their way. Smaller species pressed against walls to let them pass. On her 3rd day at the Academy, Yuna met Bora for the first time. She was walking to her tactical studies class when a massive shape blocked the corridor. A Torvan student stood in her path. He was young for his species, but still towered over her. His bone plates were dark gray, and his small eyes looked down at her with interest. "You are one of the humans?" he said. It was not a question. "Yes," Yuna replied. "I am Boral." He said his name like it should mean something. "My father sits on the Coalition Military Council. My family has produced warriors for 12 generations." Yuna waited. She did not know what he wanted her to say. "You are small," Boral observed, "even for a human. Do your people send their weakest children to represent them?" "I was selected for my test scores," Yuna said. "Not my size." Boral made a sound that might have been a laugh. "Test scores. Yes. I have heard humans are good at sitting and writing. Not so good at anything that matters." Other Torvan students had gathered behind him. They were watching and smiling. This was entertainment for them. "I need to get to class," Yuna said. She stepped to the side to walk around him. Boral moved to block her again. I did not say you could leave. Yuna looked up at him. He was 4 times her weight and twice her height. His arms were thick with muscle. One blow from him could break her bones. Please move, she said quietly. Something flickered in Boral's eyes. He had expected fear. He had expected her to beg or cry or run. Instead, she just stood there looking at him with calm, dark eyes. It made him uncomfortable, though he did not understand why. Go to your class, little human, he finally said. He stepped aside. We will talk again soon. Yuna walked past him without hurrying. She could feel his eyes on her back until she turned the corner. That night, she practiced alone in her room. She moved through forms her grandmother had taught her years ago. Slow movements, careful breathing. Her body remembered what her mind sometimes forgot. What is that? Hana asked from her bed. Something my grandmother taught me, Yuna said. For emergencies. Hana watched for a moment. The movements looked simple, almost like a dance. She did not understand their purpose. Do you think there will be emergencies here? Yuna finished her form and sat down on her bed. She thought about Boral's eyes. The way he had looked at her. Like she was something he wanted to break. Yes, she said. I think there will be. The weeks passed slowly at the academy. Yuna went to her classes, studied in the library, and ate her meals in the corner of the dining hall where the humans always sat. She learned to navigate the massive corridors and memorize the schedules of different species. She learned which aliens were friendly and which ones to avoid. But she could not avoid Boral. He found her everywhere. In the library, he would walk past her table and knock her datapad to the floor. In the corridors, he would block her path and make her wait while he talked with his friends. In the dining hall, he would stand behind her and make comments about how bad human food smelled. His friends laughed at everything he did. Other students watched but said nothing. The instructors looked the other way. One morning, Yuna arrived at her tactical studies class to find her project destroyed. She had spent 2 weeks building a model of a defensive formation. Someone had crushed it into pieces and scattered them across the floor. Boral sat in the back of the room with his Tovan friends. He did not look at her, but she could see him smiling. What happened? Her classmate Gino asked. He was another human from the cohort, a tall young man from Daegu with worried eyes. An accident, Yuna said quietly. She bent down and began collecting the broken pieces. That was not an accident, Gino said. You should report him. Report him to who? Yuna asked. The instructors who watch him harass us every day? The administration that gave us the worst rooms in the dormitory? Gino had no answer. They both knew the truth. The academy respected strength. Complaining about a Tovan noble would only make things worse. Why Yuna rebuilt her project from memory. It took her 3 more days. She did not complain, but the harassment continued. Boral began spreading rumors about the humans. He told other students that humans smelled like fear because their bodies released special chemicals when they were scared. He said humans were so weak that they died from simple diseases. He said their planet was a joke, a small rock with nothing valuable except billions of soft creatures waiting to be conquered. Some aliens believed him. Others did not care either way. But the rumors made life harder for all 12 humans. They received worse treatment in classes. They were picked last for group projects. They ate alone because no one wanted to sit near them. Yuna's friend Hana wanted to fight back. We can't just accept this, she said one night in their room. We need to do something. What do you suggest? Yuna asked. I do not know. Something. Anything. This is not right. Yuna sat on her bed and looked at her hands. There were small scars on her knuckles, old and faded. Hana had noticed them before, but never asked about them. When I was young, Yuna said slowly, I lived in a rough neighborhood in Bizen. My parents died when I was 7. My grandmother raised me alone. Hannah listened quietly. There were boys in our neighborhood who liked to hurt smaller children. They would take our money and our food. They would push us down and laugh. Yuna paused. My grandmother was very old, but she taught me something important. She taught me that the small can defeat the large if they know how to wait. Wait for what? For the right moment. Hannah did not fully understand, but she could see that Yuna was not afraid. Despite everything Boral had done, despite all the harassment and cruelty, Yuna remained calm. Her eyes stayed steady. Her hands did not shake. What did your grandmother teach you? Hannah asked. Those movements you practice every night? Hapkido, Yuna said. A Korean martial art. My grandmother learned it when she was young, during the war. She said it was designed for people like us. People like us? Small people. Weak people. People who cannot win by force alone. Yuna smiled slightly. She said the universe gives everyone weaknesses. The secret is to make your enemy's strength into their weakness. Hannah thought about this. She tried to imagine how strength could become weakness, but it did not make sense to her. Boral is getting worse, Hannah said. His friends are laughing at him because you do not react. He needs to break you to save his pride. I know. What will you do when he pushes too far? Yuna did not answer right away. She stood up and moved to the center of their small room. She began her nightly practice, moving through slow forms that looked like water flowing. Her breathing was deep and even. Her body was relaxed but ready. My grandmother told me a story once, Yuna said as she moved, about a river and a mountain. The mountain is strong and proud. It thinks nothing can move it. But the river is patient. It flows around the mountain, under the mountain, through the mountain. After 1,000 years, the mountain is gone and the river remains. She finished her form and stood still. I am the river, she said quietly. I will wait. 3 days later, Boral cornered her in an empty corridor. His friends were not with him. His eyes were angry. Why do you not fear me? He demanded. Why do you look at me like that? Like what? Like I am nothing. Like I am small. Yuna looked up at the massive Torvan. He was so much larger than her. So much stronger. But in his eyes, she saw something she recognized. Fear. He was afraid of her because he could not understand her. I look at you like you are a person, Yuna said. Nothing more. Nothing less. Boral's bone plates shifted with anger. He wanted to hit her. She could see it in his body. But something stopped him. Maybe it was the way she stood so still. Maybe it was the calm in her eyes. Soon, he said through clenched teeth. Soon I will show everyone what humans really are. He turned and walked away. Yuna watched him go. The right moment was coming. She could feel it. The Grand Assembly Hall was the largest room in the academy. It could hold 5,000 students from all 47 worlds. The ceiling was made of transparent material that showed the stars outside. The floor was a combat arena surrounded by rising seats on all sides. Every month, the academy held combat demonstrations here. Students from different species would fight each other to show their martial skills. It was tradition. Attendance was required for everyone. Yuna sat with her human cohort in the upper seats, far from the arena floor. Below them, 2 aliens were fighting. One was a large creature covered in hard shell. The other was a fast creature with 4 arms and sharp claws. They moved around each other, testing defenses, looking for openings. The Torvan demonstrations are next, Gino said quietly. Boral is supposed to fight. Yuna nodded but said nothing. She had heard the rumors. Boral had been boasting for days about what he planned to do at this month's demonstration. The 2 aliens below finished their fight. The one with 4 arms won by pinning his opponent to the ground. The crowd made sounds of approval. Then the arena was cleared for the next match. But before the next scheduled fight could begin, Boral walked onto the arena floor. He was not supposed to be there yet. His official match was later in the program. The instructors looked confused. The crowd fell silent. Boral stood in the center of the arena and raised his voice. "I wish to invoke the right of challenge." A murmur went through the crowd. The right of challenge was an old Torvan custom. If someone felt disrespected, they could challenge the offender to combat. The Academy honored this tradition because the Torvan were powerful and their customs were respected. "I challenge the human called Yuna," Boral announced. "She has disrespected me with her eyes and her attitude. She has refused to show proper respect to her betters. Let her face me now and prove she's not a coward." 2,000 heads turned to look at the human section. Yuna felt their eyes on her. Beside her, Hana grabbed her arm. "Do not do this," Hana whispered. "He will kill you. It is not worth it." "If she refuses, she admits that humans are inferior," Gino added. "But if she accepts, she dies. There is no good choice here." The crowd was waiting. Some aliens were laughing. Others were curious. A few looked concerned, but they said nothing. Yuna looked down at Boral. He stood in the arena with his arms crossed, bone plates shining under the lights. He was so certain of himself, so confident that he had already won. She remembered her grandmother's words. "The river is patient. It waits for the right moment. Then it strikes." This was the moment. "Yuna, please," Hana said. Her voice was desperate. "Let him call us cowards. Words cannot hurt us." "Words are not why he challenged me," Yuna said quietly. She gently removed Hana's hand from her arm. "He challenged me because he is afraid. And fear makes people dangerous." She stood up. The crowd made sounds of surprise. The small human woman was actually going to accept. This was unexpected. This was interesting. Yuna walked down the long stairs toward the arena floor. With each step, the crowd grew more quiet. By the time she reached the bottom, the hall was completely silent. She stepped onto the arena floor. Boral watched her approach. He was smiling now. This was what he wanted. A public victory over a human. Proof that his species was superior. His father would be proud. His friends would respect him again. "You accept my challenge?" he asked loudly, so everyone could hear. "I accept," Yuna said. "You understand the rules? We fight until one yields or cannot continue. I understand." The instructors exchanged looks. One of them, an old creature with gray skin and many eyes, leaned forward in his seat. He had seen warriors from 100 worlds. Something about this human interested him. "Then we begin," Boral said. He spread his arms wide and roared. It was a traditional Torvan battle cry. The sound shook the air. Several smaller aliens in the crowd covered their ears. Yuna stood still. She did not take a fighting stance. Her arms hung loose at her sides. Her body was relaxed. She looked like someone waiting for a bus, not someone about to fight a warrior twice her size. Boral stopped roaring. His smile faded slightly. Why was she not afraid? Why was she not raising her guard? "Are you going to fight?" he demanded. "Or are you going to stand there like prey?" "I am ready," Yuna said. Boral did not understand. Every warrior he had ever faced had taken a defensive position. They raised arms to block. They bent knees to dodge. They showed respect for his power. This human did nothing. It made him angry. "Fine," he growled. "Then this will be quick." He lowered his body into the traditional Torvan attack stance. His bone plates locked into position. His muscles tensed. He was going to charge her, grab her, crush her. One move. That was all he needed. The crowd held its breath. In the human section, Hana closed her eyes. She could not watch her friend die. In the instructor seats, the old creature with many eyes leaned even closer. He had noticed something. The human's feet. The way they were positioned. The angle of her weight. He had seen that stance before. Long ago, on a different world. From a different species. Interesting, he whispered. Boral charged. Boral moved fast. Faster than anyone expected. 600 pounds of muscle and bone plate crossed the arena in less than 2 seconds. His right arm swept toward Yuna's head with enough force to crack stone. The crowd saw what was about to happen. A massive Torvan warrior crushing a small human woman. It would be quick and brutal and final. But that is not what happened. Yuna moved. It was not a big movement. She did not jump backward or dive to the side. She stepped forward, into the charge, toward Boral instead of away from him. Her left hand rose and touched his sweeping arm. She did not try to stop it. She could not stop it. Instead, she redirected it. Just a few centimeters. Just enough to make it miss her head. At the same time, her right palm shot upward. It hit Boral under the jaw, in the soft space between his bone plates where his throat was exposed. The strike was precise. The strike was perfect. But that was not what defeated him. As her palm connected, Yuna's hip turned. Her body rotated. Her right leg swept behind Boral's ankles. She used his own forward momentum against him. She used his own weight as a weapon. Physics did the rest. Boral's feet left the ground. His massive body flipped backward. He flew through the air like he weighed nothing. Then he hit the arena floor with a crash that echoed through the entire hall. The impact shook the seats. Students in the front rows felt the vibration in their bones. Before Boral could understand what had happened, Yuna was on him. Her knee pressed against his throat. Her thumb hovered over his left eye. One push, and he would lose it forever. Yield, she said. Her voice was quiet, calm. She was not breathing hard. She was not sweating. She looked like she had done nothing more tiring than walk across a room. The entire hall was frozen. No one moved. No one spoke. 2,000 aliens stared at the arena floor where a human woman knelt on top of a Torvan warrior. Boral tried to move. The knee on his throat pressed harder. He tried to swing his arms at her. She shifted her weight and trapped them beneath her legs. Every movement he made, she countered. Every attempt to escape failed. He was so much stronger than her. So much bigger. It did not matter. She had positioned herself perfectly. His strength could not reach her. Yield, Yuna said again. Boral's bone plates shifted with fear. This was not possible. He was Torvan. His family had produced warriors for 12 generations. He had trained in combat since he could walk. He had never lost a fight. And now a human half his size had put him on his back with a single move. I do not understand, he whispered. How? Your species relies on strength, Yuna said. You charge forward. You grab. You crush. It is effective against enemies who fight the same way. She leaned closer to him. Her dark eyes looked into his. But my people learned long ago that strength is not everything. We learned to use the enemy's power against them. We learned that the harder you push, the easier you fall. Boral stared at her. In that moment, he saw something he had never seen before in a human. Not fear, not weakness, not prey. He saw a predator. Yield, Yuna said for the third time. Or lose your eye. The choice is yours. Boral closed his eyes. His body went limp beneath her. I yield. Yuna removed her knee from his throat. She stood up and stepped back. She did not offer him a hand. She did not gloat. She simply turned and walked toward the edge of the arena. Behind her, Boral lay on the floor, staring at the stars through the transparent ceiling. He did not try to get up. The hall remained silent. Then, slowly, sounds began. Whispers, gasps, chairs creaking as aliens shifted in their seats. In the human section, Hana opened her eyes. She saw Yuna walking toward the stairs. She saw Boral lying defeated on the arena floor. What happened? She asked Gino. I closed my eyes. What happened? Gino's face was pale. His hands were shaking. She won, he said. His voice was hollow with shock. It took about 1 second. Maybe less. She just won. In the instructor seats, the old creature with many eyes turned to his colleague. Did you see that technique? He asked. I saw, the colleague replied. I did not understand it. Neither do I, but I want to learn. The old creature's many eyes blinked in thought. That human is more dangerous than anything else in this academy. She just defeated a Torvan warrior using nothing but physics and timing. Should we be concerned? The old creature considered the question. On the arena floor, students were helping Boral to his feet. He looked broken in ways that had nothing to do with his body. No, the old creature finally said. We should be grateful. Grateful that humans are our allies and not our enemies. Yuna climbed the stairs back to her seat. The other humans stared at her like she was a stranger. Like they had never really seen her before. You never told us you could fight like that, Gino said. Yuna sat down next to Hana. Her face was calm. Her breathing was normal. She looked the same as she always did. You never asked, she said. Then she turned her attention to the arena, where the next match was beginning, and said nothing more. The video spread across the station by the next morning. By the end of the week, it had reached every world in the coalition. Everyone wanted to see it. A small human woman defeating a Torvan warrior in less than 2 seconds. Experts slowed the footage down frame by frame. They studied every movement. They tried to understand what had happened. Most of them failed. The human used her opponent's momentum, one military analyst explained on a coalition news broadcast. She did not try to stop his charge. She redirected it, like water flowing around a rock. But how? The host asked. The Torvan weighed 600 pounds. She weighed perhaps 120. That is exactly why it worked. The heavier the attacker, the more force they generate. The more force they generate, the harder they fall when that force is turned against them. The analyst paused and shook his head. We always thought humans were weak because they had no natural weapons. No claws, no armor, no venom. But now I wonder if we were wrong. Perhaps their weakness forced them to develop something more dangerous than weapons. What is that? Intelligence applied to combat. 2,000 years of learning how to defeat enemies larger and stronger than themselves. The analyst looked at the camera. Every species in the coalition relies on their natural advantages. Torvan use strength. Rix use speed. Kelani use venom. But humans have no natural advantages. So they studied. They experimented. They refined. And they created martial arts that turn an enemy's power into a weapon against them. Back at the academy, life changed for the human cohort. No one harassed them anymore. No one knocked their data pads to the floor. No one blocked their paths in corridors. Other students gave them space. Not out of friendship, but out of caution. Yuna became famous, though she did not want to be. Other students pointed at her and whispered. Instructors watched her with new interest. Several asked if she would give demonstrations of human martial techniques. She politely refused. I did not come here to teach fighting, she told Hana one night. I came here to learn tactics and strategy. The fight with Boral was necessary. More fighting is not. But you could help the other humans, Hana said. You could teach us to defend ourselves. Yuna thought about this. Her grandmother had taught her for years before she was ready to use what she learned. It was not something that could be taught in a few lessons. "I will think about it," she said. 3 weeks after the fight, something unexpected happened. Boral came to find Yuna. She was sitting alone in the library, reading about historical battles, when his shadow fell across her table. She looked up and saw the Torvan standing over her. His bone plates were dull. His eyes were tired. He looked like a different person than the one who had challenged her. "May I sit?" he asked. Yuna gestured to the empty chair across from her. Boral sat down carefully, as if he was afraid to break something. For a long moment, neither of them spoke. "I have thought about our fight every day since it happened," Boral finally said. "I have tried to understand how you defeated me. I have watched the video hundreds of times, and I still do not understand." He leaned forward. "My whole life, I was taught that strength was everything, that the strongest warrior wins. That power is all that matters." Yuna closed her book and gave him her full attention. "But you beat me without strength," Boral continued. "You used my own power against me. You made my greatest advantage into my greatest weakness." He paused. "How?" Yuna studied him. She saw something in his eyes that had not been there before. Curiosity, humility, the beginning of real understanding. "Do you remember what you said when you challenged me?" she asked. "You said I had disrespected you with my eyes. You said I looked at you like you were nothing." Boral nodded slowly. "You were wrong about the reason. I was not disrespecting you. I was reading you. I was watching how you moved, how you stood, how you breathed." Yuna tapped her temple. "I was learning your patterns before we ever stepped into the arena. That is why you never showed fear. I had no reason for fear. I knew what you would do before you did it. Your species fights the same way every time. Charge forward. Use size and strength. Overwhelm the enemy." She shook her head. "Against another Torvan, that works. Against someone who knows how to use it against you, it is a weakness." Boral was quiet for a long time. Other students in the library watched them nervously. A Torvan and a human sitting together. It was strange. "Will you teach me?" Boral asked finally. "Teach you what?" "What you know. How to see patterns. How to use an enemy's strength against them." Yuna looked at him carefully. She remembered his cruelty, his arrogance, the weeks of harassment. But she also saw something new in him now. A willingness to learn. A desire to change. Her grandmother had always said that the best victory was not destroying an enemy but transforming them into a friend. "Ask me again when you have learned to bow," Yuna said. Boral blinked. "Bow? In human martial arts, we bow before we train. It shows respect. For ourselves. For our teachers. For our opponents." Yuna picked up her book again. "When you can bow with sincerity, come find me. Then we will talk." She returned to her reading. After a moment, Boral stood and walked away. But she noticed that his steps were slower than before. Thoughtful. Weeks passed. Then months. Yuna continued her studies. She graduated at the top of her tactical class. She received offers from military academies across the coalition. She never saw the classified report that a coalition military observer added to Earth's file after reviewing her fight. The report read, "Recommend reclassification. Humans are not prey. They are ambush predators wearing the skin of the weak. Approach with caution." But she did see Boral one more time before she left the academy. He was waiting outside the graduation hall. When she walked past, he stopped her. Then he bowed. Deeply, with sincerity. Yuna smiled. It was a small smile, but it was real. "Come find me after the ceremony," she said. "We will begin your first lesson." She walked on toward her future. Behind her, aliens who had once mocked her species watched her go with new respect in their eyes. Somewhere among the stars, humanity was no longer seen as weak. They were seen as dangerous, as clever, as worthy, and it had all started with one small woman from Bizum who knew how to wait for the right moment.